All right, everybody, and away we go. Welcome to today's call. It is Friday the 13th, and it's been one of those weeks. It feels like a Friday week of the 13th to me, but that's why we keep plugging ahead and keep working on it. And here we are today for the sales training call for the TRC, and we'll get right after it. Now, anybody that sent me, I do think I got a couple of recordings. We had a really good couple of sessions for all of you that are interior members and not watching just online. We had a couple of really good sessions for mastermind members. There are recordings of the mastermind where we went in depth, and I mean in depth on the beats to a listing presentation. Then we repeated it in a more succinct way on the campfire call. So all interior members who are listening to this call, you have access. If you didn't hear them or you weren't part of them, you need to go and listen to the recording ASAP, okay? And that sets us up a little bit for today, where I'm going to just go wide open, and I'm going to say whatever it is that you all want to get some help with on the sales end here, you let me know. I do think we have some calls here. Katie, you sent me some from your debt that I'm definitely going to take care of. I think that Adam, you sent me some too, if you are here. So let's take a look at that one. Let me just scroll down. And if I didn't reference you and you sent something to me, you want to send it again to me. So it's up there. So Adam's was first. I'm going to deal with that. And then Katie, I'm going to deal with yours after that, okay? Or Edette's in particular. Let me get these mics open. Remember, *6, mute your microphone. That'd be helpful if you remembered that. And I don't have to go in there and manage all that stuff. That would be great. So let's try to do that. Hang on one sec. Let me just get this thing all lined up here. All right, bear with me. Let's just double check. Okay. All right, we're good both ways? Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so here we go. I should ask, Adam Kuchik, are you here, or is anybody from your team here? Because if not, I'll come back to you, because I don't see Katie either. Or Edette, are you here? Okay. All right. Little slow this week. I know I told you everybody's a little bit off this week. It must be a full moon and Friday the 13th. Hey, Paul, was that you? You here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. You and Gail or somebody, Laura, run with the question. Let's get started with something that warms it up. I usually do a little preamble, but I wanted to go straight into it with these two that sent stuff. But since I don't have their teams on yet, what'd you think about you and Gail? What'd you think about that conversation yesterday about the beats of the you, Paul? You had some strong opinions on it. I don't know if you came on the subsequent call too, but let me know your thoughts about when you see it like that. And it's a challenge to the way that we do it. Hey, Brian Wheeler, good to see you, buddy boy. Let me know what your thoughts were.
It's just such a more, and I don't mean to be trite, but a more systematic approach than what I do. And, you and I just had this one-on-one this week, and, obviously I'm just relying on muscle. I mean, and I get away with it, which is great for me, but not good for my agents, because they are not going to be able to have. There's no way that the conversations I have are replicatable. And even you're like, I'm in and out in 45 minutes. Well, that's just not me. I don't mind being there for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because I'm building trust and rapport, and I'm explaining all these ancillary services and all this sort of thing. But no, I have zero of what you have. I don't even have like the way that you show the comps. And I know you don't like the word comps, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I do like the word comps, Paul. I like the word comps, but the consumer doesn't. So I'm trying to adjust language because they're the real boss at the end of the day, right? So
yeah.
So
yeah, well, I just had my agent Elvis come in this morning. He said, "Hey, I listened to Danny's call yesterday, and I have a question for you." And the question was, and he's sitting 5 feet from me.
Yep.
Was what if I do a market analysis and let's say the seller, after I show them all the evidence, and he used the word evidence, which I like. They say that, and I ask them what they think their home is worth, and they say $1 million, and it's worth 900 or less. What how do you approach that? And so I gave them some language, that hey, at the end of the day, you're the boss. It's your home. We can list it for whatever you want. But look, if we're sitting here after 2 or 3 weeks and multiple open houses or brokers opens and you're not getting showings during the week and there's crickets, obviously we need to sit down, back down, and have a serious chat about a price adjustment. He's like, oh, okay. And so, yeah, but I do not have anything. So I thought it was a great call yesterday, and I appreciated the webinar portion the most because I have no materials like that. I literally go in with MLS comps, the photo gallery for the person to look at, and then I just start just talking from the hip. In fact, I'll be really honest with you and the group. I don't even look at the analysis until like 3 minutes before I walk in the door. Daniel prepares them for me. They're in a folder. I get to the house 5 minutes early, open it up, and okay, got it. He even puts a Post-it note for me on it. Tell them it's worth this. I mean, I'm really lazy when it comes down to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I still get the list. So.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that's the danger in it, right? You're right. I mean, most top producers I know over time have built such a great sense, and you even said it, a sense of rapport. But I think it's a big mistake when we lead with that. And I'm talking to us top producers, right? That's what I think. I think that, there's a lot of people I know, and it's almost like at least you're always open to my conversations. Man, we have more people in this very, small mastermind of top producers who bristle and they want to confront me and they want to argue about it. And I'm saying, look, don't you understand? I'm you. And what we're trying to do is try to make this the best that it can be. So for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want it to be easier for you. Okay. I don't want it to be hard for you. So that's number one. Number two, I want it to be easier for the consumer because they're the boss, not us. And I think what happens, I know what happens with top producers, right? Top producers, it's, sort of, I always joke, it's the Tony Montana moment where Frank warns Tony, don't get high on your own supply. We know how the movie ends, right? Because Tony's high on his own supply. And I don't think that necessarily we get blown up in the end per se, like the movie. But what I do think is I think it's impossible to teach it to Elvis and all the rest of your agents. And they're not going to be you. And if our unique proposition for them is that, we're going to take our minds out of our heads and give it to them and all that experience, and you're just never going to build a business that easily. I'm not saying you can't, but you're going to be small and you're not going to expand. And there's not going to be like this rally around what makes you unique. In other words, look at Paul, we're in the guidance business, right? So let's just presume we pull up to the side of the river and there's 3 guide companies that are sitting there. We're going to go with the person that seems like they have the plan that's the safest, that we can still have some fun along the way, right? So I think it's no different from that. So if you just show up to the side and there's this really cool guy named Paul, and you get talking to Paul, but you find out that he's got 5 other people and they don't have that way, that thing, they haven't developed it. And then you're down over here and the guy's not quite as cool as Paul, but he's got a really, cool system and he goes through everything. And you get this weird sense that he's just the better bet, even though you probably have more fun with Paul and you lose. Right? So I think therein lies where the problem is for top producers who rely on muscle and all that, is that they just get too casual about it and you can't teach that. And you're in that recruiting mode where these folks are coming in and clearly they're reliant on me. Part of the proposition, to you is that I help them too. And that's why we have Campfire. But my gosh, go on a Campfire call, ask a question and hear the crickets. So it's the strangest, not Andy, but just the strangest phenomenon is that agents are wildly reluctant to ask questions to improve themselves. And so now if we're going to try to teach them the highest level stuff, which is what makes us unique versus a simple system, I just think the gap's too big, right? I think the gap's too big. And I think they get intimidated and they begin to dismiss you. Well, that's you, but what about me? And I think therein lies the danger. And I say it transparently because I have no problem dealing with it. None, zero. Because my solution is simple and it's consumer driven. The consumer's feedback over the years has been less as long as it's enough. Let me repeat that. Less as long as it's enough to make me sure you give me the best chance to win is perfect. That's what I want. And that comes from really sophisticated business people. I'm not talking about, somebody who's just kind of blindly deferring to me. These are people who might do something very professional for a living. I'm not going to call them rocket scientists because I don't know if I've done business with one, but you get the point. I do business with engineers. I do business with investment bankers. I do business with small business people who've grown it big, right? So I think the reaction from the consumer is what we're always looking for. And if you just look at your business and your only validation is that, well, I get the listing. And it just makes you more comfortable, more lazy, and it doesn't make you turn around and look at the rest of the people in the company and say, how do I help them better? So, and I know you know that. I mean, this isn't to preach to you. It's just so that everybody understands the reason for a core foundational presentation of your value, your unique selling proposition, is so it's simply and clearly articulated in a noisy world, right? They're going to allow you to build rapport over time, and you're going to get in closer. But I think, Paul, the very problem is we're getting too comfortable with people. I think if Seattle corrected hard, you'd understand what I was saying. See, your thing is also your marketplace has been forgiven, right? So it hasn't corrected that hard. So if a market doesn't correct hard, you don't get challenged to be any better than Paul, the nice guy who's in there, right? That makes sense?
It makes total sense. And I think one of the reasons for my laziness is in getting a systematic approach to the listing presentation like you have, is that other than Andy and Jonathan, who I trust that they know what they're doing, because John in particular has gotten, multiple listings, and he's really good when he sits down with people. But all the new people I've hired, the 6 or I don't know how many, in the past 6 months, I mean, they're just getting started. They're getting their feet wet with buyers. They're not going on listing presentations, and I don't see that they will likely for a while. So I think I just have a little bit of time to get that all sorted out.
Yeah, hold on. I think therein lies also the danger of the comfort zone. To say, and a lot of agents do this in general, top producers too. There's a lot of top producers that are really, really good at buyers, and they do what you just did. I just think that every day we wake up and we go into our marketplace, there are opportunities for selling and buying. And I think the sooner a young agent, meaning rookie agent, I don't mean age-wise, but rookie in the business, I think the sooner they understand the sell side, the better off they are, even on the buy side. They're able to just do a better job for the buyer by understanding what the seller is going through, including maybe even coaching, to a certain extent, a weak listing agent, which you run into all the time. So I just think fundamentally as a teacher, that my obligation is to say, wait. Like, we have to be from the day one. In fact, at Griffin Realty Group, we're going to put people through this gauntlet now that we know what we know, that says, look, it's 17 minutes on each the buy side and the sell side. We want you to print out the infographic. We want you to sit down and go through these teach you. Why? Because these are the core fundamental conversations that you will have to have in this business forever. You will have to talk to buyers about your guidance and sellers about your guidance. So I wouldn't dismiss it. In fact, I think by dismissing it, you're hurting the growth of your business. I think, and if your agent, Elvis is on or Andy is on, but I think they would feel more empowered to go out and get some of those sellers that the company's not going to get. Meaning what? In the normal course of their events, their ability to market this message of the company, to solicit their own friends or friends of friends who might be selling, if they're not empowered with that core knowledge, immediately they won't do it. And so they will hurt their own growth, and they will hurt the growth of the company. I mean, I'm not guessing at that. That's
I think it's completely correct, because here I am on one hand saying, hey, the quickest path to a sale is calling expireds, holding open houses, your sphere of influence, but I'm starting with expireds, and yet I haven't really shown them or given them the proper tools should they actually get somebody that says, yeah, come on over. So yeah, I really need to get my stuff together here for sure.
Yeah, and again, the good news for you, being a core member and a mastermind member, is that look at it. I struggle. I mean, I'm going to change the whole onboarding process to the TRC. I can see immediately that I should have forced everybody who came in new to do the same. Sit still, watch the overall presentation of the structure of what you're getting into. You're responsible to be a leader, a manager, and a technician if you're working on your own. But there's a core fundamental unique selling proposition that we think we can set you up with, which is to productize your guidance, to show people that you have guidance, it's organized, and immediately that makes you different regardless of resume. so that you can immediately go into the marketplace and compete. That's fundamental. That's it. And I think that's what we've been trying to crack for a long time, is that code of fundamentals. And if you don't do those things first, as a company, as an individual, doesn't matter. You're cherry picking ideas and you're kicking the can of execution down the road. I mean, look, we have mastermind members and agents alike, Griffin Realty Group agents, that just are kicking the can down the road. And even at the Griffin Realty Group this week, our training was, Paul, we went right back to Google, okay? And we went to Google Calendar. So let me just give you a productivity tip where we just said, look, we have Griffin Realty Group, the Griffin.co email system. Use that. Please don't use your personal email because we got an errors and omissions issue if you do. Secondly, when you're in Gmail, there's a calendar. It's a click of a button for the app. And immediately you can click on a time and you can block out this whole sense of the DPPO, Paul, which you know and you're familiar with, build the database, make the phone calls, give the presentations a little bit different in the field by just being there or showing properties, and write offers. Those are the core things that must get done every single week. And if the hours come from, 5 hours for each one of them is 20 hours. So if you're not writing offers, that means you didn't talk to enough people face to face in a presentation mode. If you don't have enough presentations, you didn't make enough phone calls. You don't have enough phone calls, you didn't build up your database with contact information that you could call. Simple. So even to say the best practices of a salesperson would be go to something like a that's connected to a Gmail and just be in that mode every day to execute, right? So like thinking about that, now you come back and say, okay, if somebody's making phone calls, they're immediately throwing away 50% of the opportunity if they haven't been basically trained on how to talk to a seller, right? And if it's just buyers and they're not thinking about it strategically, they're just now lowering their standard to compete with the Redfins, the Trulias, the Zillows, where they just like, well, what are you doing? You're just getting me, emails of properties? No, I'm actually a guide. There's a process here. And by the way, why are you searching yourself anyway when you could get a free true concierge guide service from me? That's the new offer we're making. We're upgrading that offer and the language there to say, look, we're guides. No, we don't just throw you a number on your listing. We don't just throw you listings online and hope you find something. We dive over the side of the boat and we dig in and we'll prove it to you. So give us a shot just to introduce our guidance first. Here's the mailer. Here's the infographic. Here's what it says. It's self-explanatory. But if I can show you a few properties, meet you at a coffee shop, I can explain this to you. So whether you decide to use me as a buyer guide or not, great. Same thing in the house. Let me come in. I know 12 months away. I get it. But let me come in. Let me walk through what I sent you and give you some guidance because nobody's done that before. So why not? It's no obligation. So until there's confidence in those two foundational things, you just won't execute, right? And I think there, Paul, that's the real problem. People in this business don't execute the sales piece of it because there's no confidence in what they're offering. The offer is the key here. And I've talked about this before. When we listen to these telemarketing calls next, we'll be looking for that offer. We'll be looking for the enthusiasm of how that offer is presented to people. That's what we'd be looking for. So, I just think this all begins to come into what? Time management. If I have 168 hours in a week and I'm asking everybody to focus maybe 20 hours of activities that they may or may not be doing, it's still going to come back to how do I do this, right? That makes sense, Paul? That whole dissertation, I don't mean to lose everybody, but trying to tie it together to best practices.
Well, it makes sense to me. I mean, the time management or time blocking thing is, as you know, a big struggle for me. Yesterday I did what I promised you I would do. I actually turned off all the noise, which meant all the other tabs. Just had Infusionsoft, the MLS, and Commissions Inc. opened. And I managed to bang out 35 calls in 2 hours, which is like stunning. There are times where I can sit in front of the phone and computer and maybe make 15 or 20 in 5 hours. And I did 35 in 2 yesterday. I was actually going to text you in Voltaire and I forgot. So I really think that, that time management, focusing and time blocking, you used to say, I don't know if it was you or Proctor, I can't remember, but, creating your perfect week, and, I don't do it. But when I do time block it out like that, it's so helpful, and you get so much more productivity done. It's really amazing.
Paul, here's what I would say. Rather than putting the burden on us of creating an entire perfect week, I think what I tried to do was diminutize it down to 20 hours to try to make a bargain with the average real estate agent. Say, look, 168 hours, let's call this a part-time gig in the beginning, okay? Let's just bring it down to 20 hours. And you won't, in the beginning, especially, you won't even have that much that you can clearly do that's very specific, okay? So what I would say is that if you just went to the first 5 hours of database, where do you get the names of people who are likely to buy or sell inside the next 12 months? It's that simple of a principle. 5 hours a week, dedicated 1 hour a day, 9 to 5 mentality, Monday through Friday, not even cheating to the weekends. I'm trying to make a bargain with salespeople and say, look, if you took 5 hours, and I mean a concentrated hour, how can you fill up a database, even if it's wire racks, with the names and contact information of people who are likely to buy or sell? You cannot just say buy, because then you cut 50% of the opportunity to fill up that 5 hours, and it's just a mistake, right? So I think therein lies the most important part of this, to just say, let's fill up 5 hours of getting the names of contacts. That means, I know Megan, one of my agents is on here, and there's some other people on here. I've always said this: if you have another job, or if you have kids or whatever, you can include in that hour trying to get into conversations with people in those contacts, because that's what you have. Now, if the company, Paul, like you, provides in addition some leads or contact information, that's fine. Or if you just go to social media and you try to engage people and you private message them, hey, call me if you want to see this house. Hey, call me if you want to get help with the pre-approval. Hey, come. That's an effort. That's a proactive effort to build up the names of people who are thinking about buying or selling in the next 12 months. That's a sales activity. You can't sell anything if you don't first get the contact information of people that are thinking about doing it. So, I know that drifts off into marketing. I get it. But without having conversations, which is a foundational piece of marketing with people whose names you have, and that's why we always default to things like expireds, probates, FSBOs, right? Because they're easily identifiable as people that have context. Now, here we go again. The reason why most people won't pick up the phone and do it is their misperception is it takes pushing. Bless you. It takes pushiness to do so. And that's because you're not trained properly. If you think that picking up the phone and calling people you don't know who have contacts like expireds, probate, FSBOs, or whomever else, if you think that's pushy, it's because you haven't been trained properly. Let that sink in. Because if you can identify there is true timing to do something next 12 months, and you arrive at that person with guidance, then you are completely appropriate. You're completely appropriate. So that's what the foundation is. If you don't know 7 steps to helping a seller, then no wonder you feel lost. If you don't know 6 steps to helping a buyer, no wonder you feel lost. It's pretty simple. So, and especially top producers who start to cheat towards just the referred business. I talk to my brother about this all the time. Hey, wonderful, you're great at the referred business, but until you learn to do business with people you don't know, you don't really have a full, robust business build-up, right? So, all right, let's get to some of these calls. Paul, any comments on that, or anybody else have questions, comments about me going through that? Anything? I know it's Friday the 13th, and you're all, the black cat has your tongue tied. See what I mean? It's a strange week. Jupiter didn't align with Mars, or something happened here today. All right.
I can add something, Danny.
All right, come off.
Along with what you were talking with Paul, as a team member that is inexperienced with giving listing presentations, I rely on our system heavily as a crutch to get me through the appointment. Like if I didn't have that outline to follow and I had to do it on muscle, my confidence level would be in the toilet, and I feel like it's like my buoy, as you've referred to in the past. So just kind of as a side note, and being someone new to that specifically, I would be completely lost if we didn't have that in place.
Yeah, for sure. And you've been doing it for 13 years side by side with me. So it's not like you don't get trained on this by, osmosis, let alone sit in on all of these things. But again, I just think that's why this is why top producers, first of all, can't articulate what they do, because they've gotten so comfortable and defaulted towards just doing it on muscle, personality, intuition, all those things. And there's no argument that it works. The problem is they're not getting any better. And the problem is they're not necessarily benefiting the consumer as well as they could. I learned that the hard way. And Paul, when I tell you that 45 minutes was pretty consistently there, it didn't mean I wanted to run out the door. What it simply meant was I was getting through the whole process because I was following beats every time. I was sticking to a formula that I know benefits the consumer. There was one occasion where the gentleman was extremely emotional, and I ended up walking out 2 hours and 15 minutes later because I didn't want to abandon him in that state. So I made a human call. But as far as the education piece of it, and to leave them with just enough, but yet they're fully empowered, I seem to have been hitting that 45-minute deal. And now, certainly if I went in Boston, I walked in a condo, it's not even going to be that long, because I'm not going to sit there and walk through, 1,100 square feet, as long as it would take me to, go in and out of a 2,500 square foot house or more, right? So it's not that I'm not trying to make this the shortest it can be if it's at the sacrifice of empowering the consumer. I'm not. I'm trying to find what's just right and what's not about me. That's the big issue here. I mean, where we stand over the last 24 months is that you really have to be listening way more as a top producer, especially to the consumer. And if you're new or not, in this side of it, just like Laura, right? Laura's been 13 years with me, but yet she went out and gave a presentation the other day, I presume, Laura, following the formula, and you were much more empowered for doing so, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
And he was an accountant, so he was no slouch. He was no rookie, right? Been around a long time. And his takeaway was what? What did he say to you after the presentation?
I mean, he was really impressed. He did not expect me to bring all this evidence and, everything. And he loved the net sheet because, of course, he's a numbers guy. So that was hugely empowering for him. Yeah. And, he's the one emotionally attached to the house. The rest of the family could care less. I was meeting with the right person, and he was extremely, amicable and pleasant through the whole experience. It really was, it was very educational for me, honestly.
Cool. All right, so let's
because I haven't done very many.
Yeah, good. So let's go through this again before I listen to these calls, because I really think you telemarketers who I'm about to play your calls for, you better understand what you're setting somebody up to go out and do, right? This is what you are putting together on the phone. You're putting together this meeting, and you perhaps have even built that relationship over a long period of time with somebody. So when it comes, I want you to understand the value to the consumer. When it's done on muscle, it's not as valuable, right? Then it becomes the less valuable this is, the less valuable the setup feels, then it all becomes about price. That you model, great, but price is a heavy burden to get over when you commoditize yourself, right? So I see Richie Madden out there. We actually took his system for flat fee, and we added the words full service. So that's the point there too, is that when whatever your price is or your cost, you still have to articulate value. You always have to go to value. So let me talk about what happens. This is what you're setting up. I drive up to the house for the most part. I have a black, really nice looking folder. Inside of it is a manila folder, which is my stuff. And I open it up in the driveway. I take a look at it. I take a look at what the price they think is, and I look at why they're selling. Those are usually the two things I focus on. Okay. If there's some unique notes, like they love it because of this or that, that's great. But I really want to know why they're selling it, what they think it's worth. I'll close it up. I'll walk up to the front door and beat number one, reading. My notes from yesterday were to be appreciative and thankful for the opportunity. Hey, I'm Danny Griffin. Hey, thanks so much for having us over. We really appreciate it. Because I have a telemarketer back there. I have Laura back there. I have a team. We were a company. We do appreciate it. Next, 2, would you mind if we took a quick tour of the property? You all know me and what my language is. I say nickel tour. It's an old school term for the nickel tour at a carnival, I think. It's just a quickie. I don't want to go and look at the copper nails in the sidewalling. I just want the quick tour. And I say, I'd like to see what we're talking about if you don't mind. Then when walking through, I'm always complimentary about the positive features, even if it's a distress sale. This has great potential, for example, right? And I'm taking note all the while of the lack of upgrades because that affects price. Beat 3, would it be okay if we sat down at the dining room table, the kitchen room table? Because I'd like to face you eye to eye because I need to spread out some materials. Boom. 4, after we sit down, looking eye to eye. So it looks like you told Autumn or Laura, whoever. Looks like you said you're selling because of this. Is that right? I want them to reiterate to me and set themselves in why we're doing this at all. What am I doing in this house? About to have this heavy conversation with them. Why are they going through the pain of selling a house? Because it's not lost on us. It's painful, right? So, and then I'm going to go a little bit deeper. And I look at both of them, especially when there's multiple decision makers. Okay, so that's why. But on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say you are? What's your motivation level? An 8 over here, a 10 over here. I see the disparity already. I know the gap I have to close. Okay. I might say, oh, really? 8's pretty low. How come? Yeah, I don't really want to leave or whatever comes up. So next, beat number 5. Great. Let me just show you this infographic where I'm going to explain the process and the guidance that we take you through. So this process for you, this is your thought. Now, after all this, you appropriately arrive at your unique selling proposition. This is what makes you unique, that you have taken the right order and put it in the right information, and you're about to explain it to them and empower them whether they decide on you or not. It's a very key point, to be detached from the outcome, to be so all in. I was at my boys' new school. They transferred this year in the 10th grade, and the teachers were so enthusiastic about the guidance through this, especially the 2 English teachers. The literature is delicious, said one, right? The Latin guy was all about the book they were reading in Latin. I mean, just fabulous, right? That's enthusiasm. It makes you lean in. So this enthusiasm around what makes you unique is, this is really great stuff to be able to teach you this. Let me show it to you, okay? That's in your head or even the way you act. At the end, it is impossible that going through this answers all the frequently asked questions. It's impossible, okay? So the cleanup or the cleanup on aisle 5 is the question at the end. Is there anything I didn't cover in these 7 steps that's important to you? Is there anything that I didn't cover in these 7 steps that's important to you? That will allow you to root out the very specific things. You've probably given a great, dissertation of all this, but now it's down to them. If you want to build rapport, Paul can't too. When you ask questions like that, what's important to you? They answer, you stay focused on that. You'll edit out all this time because now you're really listening to them. Beat number 6. All right, great. Let's look at the market evidence. So let's review the statistics. This is all the market evidence that you and I have to deal with. You wrap your arms proverbially around them so that everybody understands you ain't getting away from this stuff. This is market evidence. It doesn't go away. I'm a market maker. I have to deal with this. And it's ugly sometimes and it's difficult. So you're going to see the truth today, right? That's my thinking. So now I'm going to focus on the solds that look most like yours to the best of my ability. Of course, we know there's no 2 that are perfectly comparable, but these are the solds that had some of the benefits and features that yours do. That's where I'm kind of moving away from this word comparable because it seems to be the tripping point in a lot of these conversations I'm having. The minute you say comparable, they get defensive. That's not like mine. Okay? So we have to change the language a little here. Why? Because we're listening. We're not getting comfortable. We're not talking at them. We're listening to them say, that's not comparable to mine. So you shift the language. You say, let's just focus on the solds that were in the general price range that you discussed you'd like to be, and we'll look at their features and benefits. don't even have to say comparable. You're talking about the way it really is. You want this price, let's see what's sold around you and how you compare to that stuff. That's it, right? So the next thing is, okay, lead them to a price discussion and their own conclusion. You lead them because you give them the information so they can process it in front of you and they look at it and come to their own conclusions with your guidance, even in that micro moment. You're empowering them, okay? And the note that I put here is remember, people will support what they help create. Because price is the number one linchpin in this discussion, if they feel part of this, that they created this by looking at evidence with you, they're more likely to have their process without getting mad at you. You don't want to be playing pricing it right bingo, that you're in a line with 6 other people and the one that states the highest number, bingo, you got it. You don't want to do that. You want to almost just break down the competition by being so specific about what it is that you're doing here, okay? So the last piece is what Laura just said. We also learned over the last 24 months that the net sheet could absolutely be something that helps you overcome commission objection, because most people who are focused on commission have never focused on what they could potentially walk away with. So they do 2 things. They cheat their asking price in their head, and they lower your commission in their head because their perception of math is just blind. They're guessing. They have never, even savvy like accountants or math people, like Laura just said, she walks into an accountant's. I mean, he might kind of know the math, but he's never really sat down and looked at tax and deed stamps. He's never really factored out the commission and what that looks like about the potential trading range. So what we say is when you do the net sheet, always go conservatively and state that. Say, look, we like to take a conservative look at the net. Now, we just went through all this math. So if we took the lowest end of the range, this is your rainy day. Say that to them. Right? This is your rainy day. And then here's kind of middle of the road, and everything else would be awesome and gravy, because we'll talk about how to get that, right? And so you use the lower and the middle to anchor them, but still being positive. And if they really push back, even having a third row that you write in a higher number to satisfy that. But what you've done is anchored reality without clubbing them over the head with it, right? And I'll leave you at this last point on point 7. This is a positive experience for the seller, in my experience, 95% of the time. I leave the 5% out because I'm doing less and less distress situations. I'm walking into most houses where there's equity, so they have a positive experience looking at it, because it's a lot bigger chunk often than my commission, okay? So there's a reiteration of what you're selling. Let's go into this whole stuff. Any questions before I open up this call? Okay, hearing none, here we go.
That was great to hear that one.
Hi, is Otto or Dolores available?
Who's this?
This is Jessica with Paradigm Realty.
Could you speak louder? I can hardly hear you.
I'm sorry about that. I'm losing my voice a little bit. My name is Jessica, and I'm calling from Paradigm Realty. I was calling about the home that was listed for sale on Deergrass Street in Corona.
Mm-hmm. No, I have it off the market, and I'm not going to sell it for a while.
Okay,
maybe in about next year.
Okay, well, would it be okay with you if I just mailed you out some information that will help you sell it the next time around?
Well, that would be fine.
Okay. Can I mail it to the 19 Summit in Newport Coast?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Very good. Very good. Well, I appreciate your time, Dolores. I will touch base quickly at the end of the week just to make sure you receive the information. And whenever you're ready, we will be here.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good night, Dolores. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you for calling. Bye.
Okay. This has all sorts of problems with it. All sorts of problems. And I'm going to tell you why. I went into this deeply with Adam. It's why I asked him to send me something. And similarly to how we spent a big chunk of today's call going over I'm trying to empower you all to never be afraid of a seller ever again in your life, and to do it systematically and stop doing it on muscle. Even my best friends in the group that I've known forever, stop. Just empower people. And what this doesn't do is that. Okay, so what we have learned is that there's a formulaic way to empower people. I love her tone, her pace is good, but she's making it up as she goes along. And I know why she's doing it. She's doing it for the same reason that Paul does it. It's comfortable to her. It's comfortable to the telemarketer in this case. It does not serve the consumer the best way. Consumer and telemarketers have this very difficult. There's a very short window of time within which a telemarketer can be effective. It's incredibly difficult to be effective. And now we're teaching a lot of you telemarketers to be effective in the context of real estate. And so we've learned a few things, obviously, over all these thousands of hours by listening. Okay? When I go back here, you're going to see how not charting the course from the very beginning, where if there's ever a spot for being scripted, the beginning is the place. You have a very short window of time within which you are able to set the course right for this minute. And I think this is a minute and a half. Okay? A very short window. And you're going to hear the confusion at the beginning of it. You're going to hear these pregnant pauses. You're going to hear confusion. And you're going to hear open-ended introductions that lose control. Okay? And I'm going to be critical today, because I want to get this right. There is a right way to do this, we've discovered, in this context, because this is an expired call, very particular. I can deal with buyer calls. If you have buyer calls you want to send me, I can deal with those too. It doesn't matter to me. It's the same thing. Introduction, okay, who you are, where you're from, and orientation. Why do you know something about them? You got to get those two things out of your mouth as fast as possible, because that allows you to have that short window where if you do this correctly with technique and tactic, they will listen, and it will better set up the rest of it. Listen to this again in the beginning, and I'll stop it as I go.
Hello?
Hi, is Otto or Dolores available?
Who's this?
Okay, there it is. Immediately. Is Autumn or Dolores available? And we pause. So we have this, we're 8 seconds in. Okay, 8 seconds on a minute and a half. So we come back and we say, what could we have done better? Dolores? Autumn? You know what I mean? Whatever it is. And if they say yes or no, you can make a decision where you want to go. But she's got two names, so it's a little confusing. She takes a shot. If you have one name, you say, Autumn? Dolores? Positively. As if they, are going to answer in the positive. And that's the moment where a trigger of familiarity will get them to react. I listen to Autumn in my office do that very effectively. I think it's a very good technique. Autumn, she likes to trigger people almost as like a parent. When it's a man, Adam, almost like a motherly figure. So yes, mom, right? Pretty clever. But very, very, very important to understand, get through this, because you want to almost segue quickly to the next piece of it, who she is. Now she gets into who's this. Let's see where she goes, because got a little too much of a pregnant pause here. So let's see where it goes.
This is Jessica with Paradigm Realty.
Could you speak?
Bang. She stops again. Okay, she stops again. And if you're losing your voice, or it's a rough that day, you got to make sure, like you're listening to these calls each week with me, you got to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, and you got to have your water. You got to have there's some great throat spray, by the way, for all you telemarketers that get burnt out on the phone. Singer's spray, I think it's called Singer spray, like a real singer. You can get it at Whole Foods. It's a natural cure. It'll actually, whatever it does, help the vocal cords. Spray that in your mouth. This is your profession. This is it. It's got to sound the best that it can be. Water, Singer spray, or honey, lemon tea, something like that. Here we go.
Louder, I can hardly hear you.
I'm sorry about that. I'm losing my voice a little bit.
Okay, we don't need that. We know it. We got you. We understand that you're losing your voice. We don't need those word whiskers, right? Go right into it, because now we're 19 seconds in and we've achieved very little. Okay? 19 seconds. That's forever. If you think about the average brain these days in the internet age, has about 7 seconds where it's a goldfish trying to make a decision. Am I going to stay on this phone engaged, or am I going to hang up, or what am I going to do? 19 seconds is an eternity. It's almost 3 times that 7 seconds. Here we go.
My name is Jessica, and I'm calling from Paradigm Realty. I was calling about the home that was listed for sale on Deergrass Street in Corona.
Okay, this is made up. We have never taught that here based on the consumer feedback. I'm calling about this particular property, okay? I would say in the last 60 days, we have never said go through all that. So now I'm 31 seconds. That took all that time, and there's nothing really yet in it for her, right? There's nothing in it for her. So again, let's go back and say, somebody could time me, but I'm just going to go through it. Autumn, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because I saw your beautiful house online, and I noticed that it didn't sell. Bang. It's all out.
Hey, Danny.
Yep, go ahead.
So the 35 calls I made yesterday were expired, and trying to use your verbiage, but some of the houses weren't beautiful. As a matter of fact, some of them were complete shit. What do you say when you're calling those?
Paul, I said it through the walkthrough. I saw your great house online. I saw your beautiful house online. Whatever it is, make it positive. If you don't say something,
but what if it's
Paul, I don't care what it is. There's potential. Is potential beautiful? To me, as a former investor, it's the most delicious thing I could see. And in the eye of the sales guy, where I see that somebody could get a good value on this and somebody could buy it, I saw your great house online. Yeah, that house would be great for investors. There we go. Yeah, right. It's just, we just are always looking at it from our crusty viewpoint. We got to take that, plank out of our own eye to see the beauty of the moment. What is the opportunity to help this person get the best they can? Yeah, Paul, somebody who's got a dumpy looking house is certainly not going to get what somebody has a remodeled house, but the opportunity is wonderful. It's great. It's there. Without all those opportunities from turnkey to entry, to fixer upper, we have no job. So we have to come in with this enthusiasm.
No, I totally get that. I was just looking for verbiage regarding, say, a fixer-upper or something where the value's in the lot.
Potential. There you go. You're already saying it. You're already saying it. Potential. When it goes down to the distress or beaten up or ugly duckling, potential. It's the most positive word you can come up with, right? So your great house online. What great potential in your head. But I saw your great house online, and I noticed that it didn't sell. So I wanted to send you some information that'll help you sell it the next time. See, this lady that we're listening to ends up going into the call saying, I'm not going to sell it right now, but I am going to sell it down the road. So she has to recover. Listen to the rest of it. I'm going to move on because I don't have a lot of time. Watch how she has to recover. She gets it out the door, but it's so discombobulated by that time that she's just throwing this thing out there, and there's no real good, solid follow-up call. I don't want that at this point in the game for this group. I want there to be a good, solid follow-up call. I'm going to help her. She can't even get into it. And I know the gal's older, but she's confused during 31 seconds, and you can hear it for yourselves. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. No, I have it off the market, and I'm not going to sell it for a while.
Okay.
Maybe in about next year.
Okay, well, would it be okay with you if I just mailed you out some information that will help you sell it the next time around?
So it's good. So she recovers. I mean, what you like is she gets back on track, but we're 53 seconds in when this could have been done in the first 7 seconds, right? And she would have maintained control. Now she's fighting to regain control of the conversation, which, I know I sound obsessive over this, but when you think about it, this is everything. Adam goes out, he buys these services, he gets this contact information, she has to sit there and dial the phone like a lunatic until somebody actually answers, and it's so easy to fix this. Stick to the yellow brick road, please. And you'll see that the slight little hinge that changes swings a big door open. This gal might have begun to read her mind out loud, but now it's late. Because, see, there was a moment there where she said, well, I decided not to sell. Oh, did your plans change? But we can't do that there. You know why? Because we still have to tell her we got the helpful information. We're still trying to fill that in. So now we can't even have the provocative conversation. Why? Did your plans change? Right? So we can't get to the conversational beat. Beat number one is, here's who I am. Okay? Here's why I'm calling. Here's what I got for you. May I get it out to you? Beat number one, that's it. Beat number two is listen to what they say. If it's a yes, say, wonderful. Let me just confirm the address. Hey, well, I have you. What happened? Well, I'm not going to sell it. Oh, really? Did your plans change? You can go into a whole conversation after you accomplish the business end of things. Because now that provocative conversation in beat number two here will, if they do want to talk and you ask the right question, what happened? Did your plans change? Those are provocative, open-ended questions that will allow them to read their mind out loud to you so that now you can determine, well, maybe if Adam came over and went through this stuff with you, I think he could probably help you get set up better, even though it's 12 months out. Now she has a very specific reason to book an appointment, or at least, well, why don't you send it first and then call me back? All that gets lost here. Let's listen to the end and we'll move on.
Well, that would be fine.
Okay.
By the way, well, that would be fine. No problem. Here's my permission. 58 seconds later.
Can I mail it to the
All right, we get the rest of it. So, Adam, I'm hoping that you heard that fully. I know you're on Facebook. I don't know if you're in on the phone call, but there you go. As thorough as I can get with that per your request and per our further call. Okay. Grant, GVD, you sent me some stuff. I'm going to bang yours out to go through this call here. Let me just see. Adam commented something.
Okay.
Yep, bear with me. Adam made a comment because he is only on Facebook. Just make sure I clean that up. Bear with me, GVD. Okay, he says yes. That's cryptic.
Sure
so,
thing.
all right, buddy boy, here we go. Where would you like me to start? In order, you have 1, 2, 3. So first call listing with another agent, 91 days. However, we can bring a buyer within that time for 6% commission, 2 minutes, 29 seconds. Two great example, drilling down the homeowner, 25 seconds. Expired 2 years back, rental now. They have an agent who would list when they decide, 1 minute 25. Why don't we go in order of length?
And I think that third call you don't need necessarily. It was just a nice natural conversation that Adette was, honing her skills. That's all.
Okay, here's number 2, 25 seconds.
I was listening to you. Hi, April? No, you got the wrong number. Oh, so this isn't April McKay? Nope. No. Okay. So, I'm looking for the homeowner of the 3809 North 26th Street. Yeah. I used to live there.
Bingo.
Oh, okay. I sold it to April. Okay, there we go. I have some very old information then. I will update my notes.
Okay, cool. Interesting. So, that's good. Yeah, that's a good job. You get in there, you root out that it's not the right owner. You could ask, did you sell it recently? Were you the seller? It sounds like she's going to hang up on you there pretty quickly. But yeah, I thought that was great. You didn't give up on it. And you kept fighting because, look, if you can move somebody out of the database because they're bad data and we can move on to the, the current homeowner, this is where I would say the administrative job of telemarketing kicks in. Go to the county or the town website, look up who the current owner is, see if there's a current sale, that maybe happened off market that didn't happen in MLS, and clean up that data. Don't give up on it completely. Do the admin side. That's what I would say to that one. Let's go to the 1:25. I'm still going to listen to it.
Hello?
Hi, is this Helga?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Helga. My name is Adette Heisler, and I'm calling you from Van Dyke Realty. And I saw your beautiful home online and noticed it didn't sell. And I'd just like to send you some information that will help you sell it next time. May I do that?
Oh, Edette, like you just made my day. And it's just so beautiful. It's enthusiastic, and it's done in 18 seconds. Okay. And it's a lot. So it's not 7 seconds, but the whole thing is done in 18, whereas in the last one, we were just all over the place. This is delicious. I'm going to listen to it again, okay? That intro, bravo. 5 gold stars for the day on a Friday the 13th. Hang on.
Hello? Hi, is this Helga?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Helga. My name is Odette Heisler, and I'm calling you from Van Dyke Realty. And I saw your beautiful home online and noticed it didn't sell. And I'd just like to send you some information that will help you sell it next time. May I do that?
I don't hear you very well. Can you say that again?
Okay. I saw that your home on Burnell Drive did not sell. And I'd just like to send you some information that will help you sell it.
Oh,
next
that's
time.
a long time ago that we had it on the market. We haven't had it on the market now.
So have your plans changed with that home? Are you staying in it?
Yes. Beautiful.
No, we have always had tenants. We wanted to move there, but it was, we came there in summer, and then we decided, no, we are not going to live here. It was just too hot.
The summers are too hot.
And then we have had it rented. So
okay.
It might be coming onto the market again, but we have a realtor to take care of it already.
You do. Okay. Well, I will make a note of that. And
yeah, right there, Edette, just from an experiential standpoint, are you committed to that realtor? Are you open to a second opinion? Right? Write that down, because I think you're on Facebook too. Are you committed to that real estate agent? And are you open to a second opinion? That's just an experiential moment where you took me that far and you give me something to work with. Let's listen to the end of it. We'll go to your last call.
And it was a pleasure speaking with you.
See, you get stumbled and fumbled and you pulled the parachute just simply experientially. But it's because you're already gotten there. Wonderful, right? So I'm going to let that go. But, don't be afraid to fight, because now you have nothing to lose. So the language is very simple. Are you committed to that real estate agent? And are you open to a second opinion? Or just flat out go straight to, are you open to a second opinion? Right? Because Grant Van Dyke is really good at this.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he has a 7-point strategy. And so why don't I still get this out in the mail to you? So you take a look at it. That's up to Grant. That's a business decision. If he wants you to fight for those, you two will talk about that. But this is just a well-executed call. A minute 29 seconds, a minute 20 seconds, you got that far, and then you just ran out of experience. So nothing you could do about that, my dear, just a 10. I'll give you a 10 for your knowledge level, okay? All right, here we go with the last one of the day. We got a 2-minute, 29-second one. Let's go.
Hello?
Hi, is this Anthony?
This is he.
Hi, Anthony. My name is Odette Heisler. I'm calling you from Van Dyke Realty. And I saw your beautiful home online, noticed that it did not sell, and I would just like to send you some info that will help you sell it next time. May I do that?
Well, I have an agent lined up.
Wow. Did you just shift gears into lure the guy in mode? Well, I don't know if you did that intentionally, but man, did you just talk to him in a whole different way? That was very interesting. Very interesting. Let's listen to him.
For 91 days from now, and you're welcome to bring me a buyer in between then and now, and I'll pay you your 6%.
Okay. I will go ahead and update that you relisted it. Can I?
Oh, I haven't relisted yet, so there's a 6% opening right now.
Okay.
So if you want to sell it between now and 91 days from now, you're welcome to give me a call back and show it.
Okay. Is it possible to have my broker come by and kind of do a nickel tour for you?
Beautiful.
Take a nickel tour based on your schedule?
I don't mind necessarily.
Cool.
If you want to stop in, but it's probably not worth. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to list it. I have my next agent lined up. Her name's Marcy Murphy. She's with Berkshire Hathaway. She's going to list it as soon as the listing clears. And so.
Oh yeah, because you've got to wait the 90. Okay.
Yep. So you got 65 days left, maybe, to bring me a buyer.
Do you have that on a little countdown clock? I mean, you pretty much.
I do.
Exactly the same.
I have a ticker. It's like one of those. It's one of those like New Year's
things like the Guinness on my wall, and it just counts down the days.
That sounds like it. I'm waiting for the ball to drop for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can I send you our universal plan? It'll just help you determine where things didn't go right last time. And I know you do have Marcy all lined up, but it'll just give you some information.
Sure can't hurt.
Awesome.
Okay.
But bringing a buyer is much more effective way to make money.
You know what? I agree. And we will definitely work on that for you, too.
All right. Let's just cut to the chase here. You had them. You just, again, experientially close for the appointment. Say, absolutely. When can I get Grant in? We're not going to be able to sell something we haven't been in. Yeah, we're not going to be able to sell something that Grant hasn't seen. When can I get him in? You own this guy. And it was just, what a gear shifter. I'm impressed. You just have a natural way that you went into a whole little flirty type of voice with a guy, and you own this knucklehead because he's impressed with himself, and you got him. He swallowed the hook, right? So now know what to do with that power. Close. Look, at Grant's really good. Let Grant hand deliver the thing. Just close for what he wants. You don't have to always, Edette, put our formula onto them. This is what they need, right? But what they want is what they want. He wants a buyer. It's 6%. Wonderful. When can I get Grant over there? That's a lot of dough on the table. We'd love to come over and take a look at it, right? Now you've got Grant in the house.
Okay,
now he's face to face. Let him deal with, can he compete with Marcy, or is it really that deep, right? Let him go. Let him make that judgment. And Grant, if I were you, I had to mute Grant's mic. They were talking in the background. So I will open it again. I think it was him. Okay. So Grant, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Yeah, your mic was a little loud. So Grant, that's awesome. So the two calls here where there's more potential. See, what we've discovered here on the telemarketing end of the call here today was that there were these drop-offs. First of all, don't cheat the formula. That's the first thing we learned. Don't start making it up in the beginning. You could hear in the second round of calls, Edette sticks to the formula. Then when it gets conversational, now we need to learn more. What do you do? Don't forget the goal. If the goal is to get a body in the house to transform the relationship, get a body in the house. This guy is closable for an appointment. I'd call him back and get him in. Okay? So I told Grant about the 90 days. He's excited. When can he get in to see it? He can't sell something he's going to scare out online. He wants to see it. Grant goes over. He's got the whole package that you would send anyway, and he gives it as a gift just for being invited in. But now he's met him face to face. Things change. You never know what could happen. Maybe Marcy isn't the right decision, right? Got it?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So very good. Just a couple of moments here where you ran out of experience today. So you just brilliant natural talent to shift gears with the woman to the guy. Beautiful. Leave it alone, but keep sticking. Don't get too casual. You almost got too comfortable with him. I want to send you some info. I mean, I know what you were doing. You were flirting with him, and it was working, and you got him. Don't lose your professional context. My only critique on that part, go back and listen to it yourself, and just don't drop words there and get too casual, because as much as he likes the flirty sound in your voice, and that was clear, stay totally professional, right? And it was subtle. I'm not calling you not. I'm just saying it was so good, though. I loved the change in the tone. Really, really. What's your experience again, telemarketing?
I had about 10 years, 8 to 10 years in mostly technology related.
Yeah, but I can hear it.
Marketing.
I can hear your ability to connect is high. See, Paul, I can't do, if you're still on here, there's an example that's a perfect example of somebody who's great, like you, because Paul, you know how I feel about you on the phone. You two are phenomenal at rapport. But there's the difference when it's done with a formulaic approach, right? See, Edette, you got so far down the road because of the formula. You just ran out of experience, right? But it just goes to show you rapport and formula, when they're done together, are beautiful. I thought those were beautiful. Unfortunately, the two opportunities to fight, to get in and go there, were lost because we just didn't have enough experience. I had no problem with you calling both those people back and saying, I was thinking, right? I got no problem with that. If you want to call both of them back, say, I was thinking. I don't know why I just didn't, ask, would it be possible to have just Grant swing by and get a second opinion? Would you be open to a second opinion on that rental? Hey, I told Grant about this opportunity. He's excited. He wants to come over 6%, 90 days. We love it. Right? Good. Really interesting.
All right, Danny.
Yep. Go ahead.
This is Vanessa.
Hi, Vanessa.
This is Vanessa. I would say, I know you're going to say I would, Grant, you're pitching Grant, but like in the man's case, I think he was sold because at first he thought it was you. And then once you mentioned Grant, that's kind of when he brought up his realtor again and even said her name. It was more like the team approach. Like when can we, and then after it's locked in, that's when make it say, okay, Grant.
Yeah, I think that's good advice.
Okay, that's a good idea. This will work for you because you did have him locked in. So surprised that he kind of just was like, 6%, and started throwing numbers.
Yeah.
So you weren't like, you were kind of like, oh, Grant, and he was kind of like, never mind. Being a guy.
And Grant is a lot uglier than Edette. We know that, right? I know where you're going, Vanessa. I know where you're going. I know where you're going, Vanessa. You're just picking on the guys today. It's Friday the 13th.
I think it's a great point. We'll bring to that.
I've made appointments and I just to not even mess with it. I like just the whole appointment goes. The guy comes to the appointment and it's full.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we thought we were meeting Vanessa." And he's like, "No, I'm her broker. We're in the same team. She couldn't make it."
Yeah.
Or she just ran out. But it's because I also like, no, I don't want to like mess it up and then them say, "Oh, never mind, I'm not meeting with you," because they made a connection with me over the phone.
That's right.
But I started just saying, "Oh, by the way, you're meeting with Voltaire after the appointment and everything."
Yeah, cool. Leave well enough alone. You got the commitment, so leave well enough alone. But I like what she said. When you get that commitment, get it. Lock in the time, because it's the law of commitment that's kicking in. People will support, again, what they helped create. And they'll only like corroborate what they decided. So if they said, yep, this is the time, this is the place. Oh, by the way, it's not me. If you want to put it that way, whatever. Right? And don't worry. I'll be right here too. We work as a team. I'm right here, honey. You're not losing me. Right? I mean,
it sounds like with Odette and where we're at, she's dynamite. The experience part. To begin initially, Odette and I were calling together now, side by side, making these calls, and I think after every call, I'll give a little tidbit or my experience. Here's where we could have gone. So I think we continue that until Odette hits it. If I'm not here, I think what I'm hearing is, Odette, book the appointment if you can.
Book it.
Get Grant inside. He'll talk to you.
But book it. Because what you're finding, a lot of you telemarketers are finding, is that there is opportunity in a lot of cases, but kick the door down. I mean, all the rookies in the business, like, from Adam's situation to Grant's situation, you can hear we're running out of tarmac. The first thing I would please ask you, will you make this my problem first? Don't make up your own beginning script. I mean, we hammered this out after thousands of hours to make the introduction, give the context. Please just stick to that yellow brick road, okay? And do it with enthusiasm and be ready for the call. Don't get caught off guard when somebody answers. If your voice, is tough, have a sip of water right before, whatever it is. But just be ready. That's an easy part. The next part, we're going to have to train when I hear. If you bring me calls like this, I can hear it. And I can say, ooh, there's the chance where you go into beat number 2, which is conversational. So we have introductory and permission of all that delivery of what we got for them, right? Got to be something in it for them. And then that allows us to provoke them into conversation and be their therapist, let them read their mind out loud, and then we know what we can get. If we can get the appointment, you go for it, okay? If we can't, you go for making sure that they're really understanding what they're getting, commit them to getting that, taking a look at it. Hardly any of them say, no, sure, you can send it. Sure, you can send it, but it's better to bring a buyer. But he didn't say no, did he? It's very, very difficult to say no to helpful information. All right, look at, I'm over time. One final call. Anybody have a question or comment about that stuff? And again, I deal with the people that send me stuff. Yep, go ahead.
This is Katie.
Hi, Katie.
So I think it almost seemed like at first, the first call to them is supposed to be, can we send you this package, this great gift that we're going to send you? But then maybe we were focusing on that and not trying to get the appointment right away. But you're saying, obviously,
go for it.
Katie, let me make it clear. It's an excellent point you bring up. Let me make it very clear. We are in a business of getting in houses or showing houses, period. And if the opportunity is there, take it. How is what we've been creating. We're creating a unique, more positive, more empowering way. How? So when you pick up the phone and you say, hey, Katie, I see that you're the administrator of the estate of Danny Griffin. Hopefully that doesn't happen soon, right? And I wanted to send you some information that'll help you get through the probate process. May I do that? See what I'm saying? You're just moving through it the same way. Just the context changes. You get something there. Hey, by the way, what I'll include, I don't know if there's any real estate involved in the estate. If there is, I'll include some other information that will help you secure the asset and prepare to sell it. Right? See what I'm saying? It just doesn't change. And it's all there to say, I have something for you. Remember we had that one from Passion? Passion sends one in. She goes through the whole rigmarole. And the guy says, well, you're number 34, but I like your style. I like your approach, he said. Go ahead and send it. See, that's what's unique. But they're great, wonderful. Let me just confirm the address. So by the way, while I have you, were you thinking about putting it back on? See, now we can go and dig. Now we can ask what's going on. We've secured the beginning of a relationship. We've differentiated ourselves in the first beat. So I'm only teaching beat number 1 is to get this out. It doesn't end there. So Katie, you bring up a fabulous point so that we can train on it. It doesn't end there. Don't drop off. Now you have a little bit of phone relationship. Go deeper. Right? And see, Chris Egan was trying to say that before, and he was right. But the go deeper means it means how do you get them to figure out, like, hey, did your plans change? You thinking about coming back on now? Because you've done the really, really important part, which is said something's coming. And I like where Vanessa went. Once there's an anchoring to a commitment, it's beat 1. We just said, yes, we'll have a date. You can send me this and I'll look at it. Wonderful. Hey, by the way, while we're talking, what's going on? Did your plans change? Where were you going? Right? And if they're talkative, you got something. If they're not, just default back to, okay, no problem. Let me send this first. Right? So you have that moment in time where now we want to empower the telemarketers to think, do your thing. Right? Make sense?
The other thing, too, is sometimes it's so hard to get them back on the phone again.
Correct.
So if you can get it at the first time when you've got them on the phone.
You got it.
So I do agree with you with that.
You got it. It's just how. So get off with me today. You got a whole week. Go and try to push a little bit more. And if you can go to those 2 people, let's see what the follow-up looks like if you can get them. Make sure they've gotten packages. Make sure they've both been sent. It'll soften them up if they do, right? So you might want to send those immediately. You, Katie, and Grant, whomever sends them, get them out and follow up a couple, 2-3 days later. See if you can't get them, okay? Be very interesting to see how you do now that you've been empowered to go to phase 2, the conversation, dig in, and if you can close, you close. If you can't, you close for the phone call. You're closing for something, Katie, right? You're closing for the follow-up to make sure that they got it. Hey, I'll be calling you to make sure you got it. That's the close. Hey, I'll be calling you, just to confirm the appointment. You know what I mean? Something like that. Close something. Get them committed each time you can. All right, listen, I'm OT. I've got to run. Awesome call. I love it when you all bring me stuff like that. It's just so easy. If you guys would bring me some anecdotes of the outside sales, but I did hijack the beginning because we had such a great week going over the 7 steps and what that means. Everybody must understand, if you're in the TRC group or in part of the mastermind or a part of the team, you got to understand these 2 foundational things, the guidance for buyers and the guidance for sellers, both of them. You don't cut one off, you know them both, okay? All right, there you go. There's your homework. See everybody on the other side. Have a fabulous day on Friday the 13th. Kick that cat and make him turn white and make it your blessed day. And you go out there and make stuff happen, right? I didn't really mean that. See you later.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You kick the cat.
Bye-bye.